So we're still in the same room.
Possibly
Chris,
the same day.
I had to really bring him back in. He was walking out the door.
Possibly
he got
the same
so angry at that last topic. I brought him back. I'm like, we got to talk about James Bond. He was like, that's right, let's do
That's
that.
right, that's right,
Let's
because
do that.
there is no time to die.
Except everyone dies.
Not everyone. Like, really, like, 2, 3, quite a bit of people.
Quite a bit of people
Quite a
die.
few people actually do die. They do die.
I walked out and my dad was just like, oh God, it should have been called Time to Die. Everyone dies.
That's funny. That's fucking funny. How did he like it?
Yeah, you know what's kind of funny is, you know how my dad is with movies,
Yeah,
right?
I know exactly.
The hero dies, he hates it now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So 15 minutes before the end of the movie, leaned over to me and went, I think this is the best James Bond I've seen in my life. And then he goes back in. And then I felt it. I felt that ending coming.
Michelle felt
I
it.
really
She called
felt
it,
it
and
was
I was
coming.
like, I don't know.
And I was like, they're not going to do it, right? It really feels like they're going to do it, though. And then it happened. And I leaned over to James and was like, I bet your dad doesn't like this movie anymore. And I went back. He's just like, that's not real, right? Like, after the credits, he'll still be around, right?
Well, so
I don't know.
Your dad and
Fireball definitely blew over top.
Your dad and I are actually kind of similar because Michelle called it, and I'm sitting there going like I don't know, because like at first she's like, well, I bet you it's his kid. And I was like, I don't know, like that just seems like I was looking at it like traditionalist Bond.
Yes.
Right? So I was
and
like, I don't think so. Like, and then when she says it, towards the end, and then I was like, okay, all right. And then, even though I saw the missile fucking explode right in front of him, I was like, I don't think he's dead. Like, I actually said to Michelle, I'm like, you just watch, he won't be dead.
But they literally showed, like, the flames engulfing his body.
No, I know. And I said, he'll get out of it. Because it's James Bond.
I thought originally...
Because it's every other James Bond movie, even the ones where it looks like he's dead.
Yeah.
You know, at the end, he shows up, he's
Spoilers.
some fraud, or whatever. He's totally dead. Totally. You know what? They know what they're dealing with us. They know it's spoilers.
I honestly thought, I was like, okay, he's going to die right now, but they're going to just keep it at Madeline, and she's going to just watch the missiles at the island. That's what I thought. And that would have left it open for him.
Well, I see, and that's the thing, right? But
then they cut back, and they show him there, and they show it come down, and then just... And I was like, they killed him.
Yeah.
They straight up killed James Bond.
I'm, like, driving home with Michelle, and I'm like, kind of just sitting there going, like, they fucking killed him. And then, so... About an hour later, after I had found like a pretty decent cam copy, which by the way I didn't rewatch. I watched like the first 20 minutes of it, but I didn't finish it. Because I forgot that you have to invest 3 fucking hours of your life. It's like, you know what? Maybe I'll watch this in stages. But anyway, and I was sitting there and I was, I was like having a drink, and I'm just like, I can't fucking believe they killed him off. I was like, that's fucking crazy. And I kept going back to that. I kept going like, literally like, I can't fucking believe they killed him off. And then I was like, that was so fucking good. Like, it was so good.
It's so good.
Now, I am going to tell you right now, it's not my favorite Craig Bond. It's not my favorite. Skyfall, still the top of the mountain. However, this is second.
That's kind of what I've come to, too. And it took me a while, because I was
remember you telling
really
me
loving it. I was like, it was 2 hours in. It's a long fucking movie, and I wasn't feeling the
I didn't feel it at all.
I didn't feel it at all.
And
I was like, okay, if I'm not feeling it right now, like, this is good. Like, this is good shit.
Exactly.
This is a great movie.
Like,
and the
at
pacing
no point in time was I
awesome.
like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, we're meandering.
Whereas, like, Spectre the whole time, I'm just like, oh, is it over?
Well, like I said
right?
in our previous Camcast, once we got to the desert, actually, once we got pretty much to the American, I was like, fuck this. This is just brutal. And, and unfortunately the ending, like the last half hour of the movie when they get back to Britain, unfortunately, it wasn't so epic that it was able to bring me right back into it. Although I will say that No Time to Die does a really good job of elevating Spectre to the point where I was like, okay, all right, they rehab Spectre enough where, like, later on, I could see myself rewatching it.
Yeah.
I'll probably get to the American part and go, oh, yeah, that's right, fucking goddamn it, and skip.
But you're right, though. Like, I feel like watching Spectre now, and I've done it twice, and both times I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
But now I think I'm going to give it a little more I don't want to respect it because it was still shot before this, and it shouldn't have to depend on a future film to bring it back. But
right, yeah,
I will be able to look at it in a little bit of a different light, I think.
yeah, and that's how I feel too. And I think time is another thing too, because like Quantum of Solace for the longest time was my last of the Bonds, right? The Craig Bonds, and like after this recent viewing, that's changed, right? But yeah, so now it's literally Skyfall, No Time to Die, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, and Spectre.
Yeah, and that'd be my list too.
Yeah. So
though I will say that No Time to Die is a 5 out of 5 too, just like Skyfall.
Oh yeah.
But Skyfall's just got I don't know what.
No. No Time to Die is 4.5 for me.
4.5.
Yeah.
I put a 5 on it.
Yeah, I have one particular dislike.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, without further ado, as always, No Time to Die came out in 2021. The director was Kari Joji Fukunaga.
Something like that.
Okay. Screenplay, big surprise here, written by Neil Purvis and Robert Wade.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, the two guys that wrote every single movie of Craig's run, but they've also done several other movies. Kari Joji Fukunaga and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Which I thought was funny, where a lot of people were like, oh, fucking Phoebe Waller-Bridge comes in and all this shit. And I'm like, you couldn't tell anything.
I'm not really
I'm familiar with her work because of Fleabag.
You've watched Fleabag.
So I've watched all of Fleabag.
What is Fleabag? Like, is it comedic or what? What kind of genre is it?
It's a dramedy.
A dramedy.
Yeah. But it's like, it's British too, so there's like absurdist, awkward aspects to it. It's but it's not like The Office, like the British version of The Office. It's not like that. It's but I would say dramedy.
Because I was kind of feeling like there was a lot more lightheartedness and quirky humor in this one compared to past ones. I was thinking maybe that's where Phoebe came in.
See, no, I disagree. What I feel like a lot of this is what Spectre should have been. Mm-hmm. So this did a really good job. This did what Skyfall did too, where they took a lot of the old classic Bond and fused it into modern Daniel Craig's Bond.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, and unfortunately with Spectre, which they kept trying to put it back to that Roger Moore style of Bond, where, you know, and it was never going to work because Craig's Bond was incredibly different from all the other Bonds. So there was no way that he could go back to traditional Bond without it suffering, and it did.
Yeah.
And it did. But anyway, so the story was done by Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, and Kari Joji Fukunaga. Starring Daniel Craig as James Bond, the best Bond ever, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinions. And it's the best Bond. He's the best Bond. He's
the absolute best Bond. I grew up on Roger Moore, and then we grew up on Pierce Brosnan, and I love Craig as Bond. I love Pierce Brosnan as Bond, but he started some stinkers.
Unfortunately, too, it was a lot of GoldenEye was great.
Yeah.
And then, what was the next one? Tomorrow Never Dies?
World Is Not Enough.
World Is Not Enough.
Oh, no, Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tomorrow Never Dies.
And then it just starts to do this almost immediately.
Right, it was a high and then it was slow all the way down.
And almost immediately. And
whereas Craig's run has had this constant up and down roller coaster. Right?
Exactly. Okay, so then we've got Rami Malek as Lucifer Safin, which I'm surprised they didn't just call him Lucifer.
Yeah.
A couple extra fucking letters in here. Anyway, Lucifer Safin, who is a terrorist leader / assassin who killed Madeleine's mom, which was talked about in Spectre.
Yes.
And for them to open, that was pretty interesting. That's how they opened it.
That was a very interesting opening.
I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't want to steamroll this.
No.
It's weird now because we can actually have an an actual conversation, and there's none of this I'm talking and then nobody can hear anything until I stop and then you can go. So this is new to me. It's new to me.
We haven't done this in a while.
No. So we've got Léa Seydoux as Madeleine Swan. Mm-hmm. She's the psychiatrist.
Yes.
Who works for MI6, which I thought was priceless.
She's the babe.
And she's the daughter of Mr. White, and she also helped Bond get past Vesper Lynd. Another thing I thought was awesome that they touched upon.
Yes, me too.
Lashon Lynch, 007 in Bond's absence, And yeah, Michelle didn't really like her. I loved her. I thought she was awesome. She felt to me very much like someone who could have been a 00,
Yeah.
007 in particular.
Yeah.
And there was some similarities to Bond, which I thought was really cool. And then obviously she stood on her own.
Yep.
Plus, she's just a fucking talented actress.
Oh, she's great.
We've got Ben Whishaw as Q. We all know who Q is.
Q.
We've got Naomi Harris as Eve Moneypenny. Eve Moneypenny. Sorry, I got sidetracked because I was doing the cast list for Venom, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, she was in Venom Let There Be Carnage as Frances Barron.
Yeah.
And I barely recognized her. So I was like, oh, this is great. Anyway, so Eve Moneypenny returns. Jeffrey Wright, Felix Leiter. That was a tough one. Christoph Waltz as Blofeld. Ralph Fiennes as M. And the creator of Heracles, the nanobot virus, which we'll talk about a little bit more.
Motherfucker.
Although I read somewhere that more than likely, because this was supposed to come out before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Originally, it was supposed to be an actual virus, but they changed it to a nanobot virus because they thought it might be a little bit too on the nose right now. Which I'm glad they did. We've got Billy Magnuson as Logan Ash, the CIA agent helping Felix. We've got Anna de Armas as Paloma, CIA agent, and she was a fucking highlight of the movie. She should have been in this more. I honestly hope that we get to see more of her in at least one other movie.
I always love her acting.
But
to see her actually kick ass in this.
The kicking ass part was, it was great, but her character
just like this like
bubbly, naive, but at the same time like incredibly smart and with it. Yeah. So it's like this is part of an act. Like she's pretending to be like this flighty idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so good. We've got David Dencik as Valdo Obercheff, who is a scientist working on Heracles, and with Safin as well as the bad guy. Rory Kinnear, hey! Bill Tanner! Probably his last movie, and Chief of Staff. Dali Bensala is Primo. I put in parentheses Cyclops, so that way we know who you're talking about. The Eyeball Assassin. And Lisa Dora Sonnet as Matilda, Bond and Swan's daughter. The budget is estimated at $350 million. So they were saying it's $250 million plus $100 million in marketing.
Yeah.
Although recent reports are suggesting that it needs to make $900 million just to break even. So
it lost a ton of money by all the pushbacks.
There's
all that marketing is just throwaway marketing, right? And 4 different release dates it had before it got released?
Yeah. So that one, it's that, and this is disappointing because it's such a good movie, but it also is disappointing because now, imagine the budget that Mission Impossible 7 is going to have to recoup. Okay. Yep. Now they're in a better spot because next year, more than likely you're going to get more people going. Because like the big holdback here is that Bond skews older, and a lot of older people aren't necessarily looking to go to the theater just yet.
Yes.
And obviously in some parts of the world, they're still getting hit hard by COVID. There's still vaccination pushback and all that other shit that I've gone through plenty of times. I don't need to go through on this one.
Yep.
So that's the meat and potatoes. My likes are literally just point form because I know we're going to shoot the shit on
all right.
But I'm going to go my dislike right out of the way.
You only got one?
I've got one dislike.
Just one, okay.
Just one.
All right.
And it's disappointing because Rami Malek is such a good actor.
This is my one dislike too. I have one.
He is such a good actor. And while I was captivated by him while he was on screen, because visually he looks cool.
Yes.
And the way he presents the character is unsettling. Unfortunately, he was the weakest part of the whole movie.
He really was.
I mean, like, yes.
And it's not on him. It's like...
It's the writing.
They knew this was going to be James' last movie, and they really just focused on James Bond's side of the story.
Right.
And because of that, he was left off to the side, and he's basically like a one-note classic Bond villain.
Yeah, which is crazy because if you think about it, it's incredible that he managed to wipe out all of Spectre.
Yep.
Okay. And then essentially solidify himself as like the head terrorist of the world, right? And managed to steal this nanobot virus that is DNA encoded. So if it's encoded with your DNA,
yep,
you and all your family members will die from this virus, but everyone else is fine. So I could have this virus on my hands, right? And as long as I don't touch you or anyone at all in your purview, you could essentially live forever. But the reality is, and this is what makes the ending for Bond so much more tragic, is that you can't guarantee that eventually this virus isn't going to get back to you.
Right.
You know, even if I'm on an entire corner of the world, you can't guarantee it because, you know, we still in some cases touch physical money. We still in some cases touch other people.
Yep.
Eventually, you know, the odds are pretty good that it's going to get back to you and then wipe out everybody.
Yep.
And that's like, so like at first when I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, he could just get off the island and then stay away from them. And then I'm like, no, he can't. And that's the reason why he chose to stay on the island, was because he couldn't go back. Yep. Because the second he got off that island and touched anything, it increased the odds of Madeleine and Mathilde getting the virus. Yep. So, whew. So these are like heavyweight things that Safin has done, but it's all in the last half hour, 40 minutes of the movie, and it feels like they just kind of went, oh yeah, Safin.
Oh yeah, that guy from the beginning.
So let's have him stalk Madeleine. Okay, all right, yeah, that's after he wipes out Spectre, and then we'll have him kill Bond.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and it just like I said, I was pumped when I saw Rami Malek was the bad guy. I was like, holy fuck! And when they showed that screenshot of the creepy mask, luckily they showed the broken part.
Yeah.
Because that Chinese bubble-faced mask thing is just horrifyingly creepy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they showed that, and I was just like, oh boy, like this is like, and combined like with, and I haven't watched all of Mr. Robot, but I've watched enough to be like, Jesus fucking Christ, like this is gonna be.
He's
good.
an insanely great actor.
And Bohemian Rhapsody, he was incredible in.
Oh, insane!
Even though it's like it's one of the things I hate about based on true stories is they really just do whatever they do what they want with the story to make it more profitable.
Yeah.
And some of it is made up and some of it didn't happen that way. But regardless, like, so I'm just like, wow, this is gonna be fucking great. This is gonna be so fucking good. And then to see this and go, okay, like, I mean, I know like some complaints were saying his plan didn't make any sense. And I was saying like, well, no, his plan was 2 parts.
Mm-hmm.
Plan 1, wipe out Spectre.
Yep.
Okay. And then Plan 2, or Plan 1 was wipe out Spectre and then sell the virus off to the first person. I know that he talked about how he envisioned himself like Bond, where he was going to remake the world. He was just going to be a little bit more honest about it.
Yeah.
That part is what I think a lot of people are confused about, because you're like, well, then why would you sell the virus? Like, that makes no sense, right? But the other part of his plan, so I just choose to ignore that part. The other part of his plan is ultimately Madeleine.
Yeah.
You know, he wants her, and he realizes he can't have her. So now, no one, Bond can't. Bond cannot have her.
Nobody can.
You know, so that's fine. It's just they could have explained that better, and they could have threaded him more through the movie a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like you say, he disappears.
Well, you start the movie with him.
Yeah. Right?
And then by the time they show him again, you forgot he was in the movie.
And the other thing, too, was kind of the aging. Like, Rami Malek is probably pretty close in age to Léa Seydoux. And they show him as an adult and her as a child.
Now, granted, they didn't show him.
So how old is he then?
Granted, like they didn't show him, so he could have been 19, 20.
Right? It's almost like this should have been played by someone closer to Craig's age.
Yeah. And again, like, not a knock to Remy, but it might have been one of those, like, stunt casting things.
Yeah.
Where they were like, riding high on, oh, okay, all right.
This guy won an Oscar. Let's get him.
Yeah. Which, I mean, to be fair, I would have done the same thing. I would have been like, well, he's also phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just he won an Oscar. He's also a really good actor. Like, he didn't suck the right dick or play off the right person. Grease the right palms or whatever you want to say. He actually is a fucking phenomenal actor.
He's amazing.
So yeah, like it's so disappointing. Like I literally was like dislikes. And I just like everything else my likes was like opening, cast, cinematography, story, like all these beats.
Everything.
This one is Safin specifically.
Same here, just Safin. I have one con and it was Safin.
And it's the one that I never thought I would see. I never thought that I would say, but I mean, unfortunately, first of all, he's one of the weakest movies or Bond villains in the Craig run, which is...
Yeah, I mean,
like,
plot development wise, he probably is the weakest.
He is. He's absolutely the weakest, even though he's done the most.
Yet, he's the one that wipes out Spectre, wipes out Bond.
And yeah, exactly. Like, he wipes out every fucking thing. Basically, sat there and said, like, if he lived... he would literally have lived like a king because who the fuck's going to stop him?
Well, exactly.
They would have to regroup.
That's going to poison the island.
What the hell was Lashana Lynch's name in the movie?
Nomi.
Nomi, that's right. So Nomi they would all have to regroup and she'd have to shake off the whole, like, yeah, Bond is gone and Bond is the real 007. She'd have to get back into that 007 mindset just to be able to get after this guy. But I mean, he's got this fucking nanovirus that can kill anybody he wants and their entire family, their entire lineage. So it's like, what the fuck, right? So anyway.
It's insane. It's such an insane plot.
So that's it. That's my dislike. That's literally it. And that's what keeps it at a 4.5. And I wrestled with that because, I mean, up until that, like, the more I thought about it, that's when it started to kind of go, yeah, but. And I can't give it a 5. I just can't.
I was still able to give it a 5. Just because Bond's story in here is so fucking good. Like, when we were talking about Spectre, I said that Judi Dench's presence, like, the lack of it was really felt there.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, like, Craig has it so down now. I never even thought about Judi Dench in this movie. Like, and the chemistry between the whole cast, like the whole group, is so much better than it's ever been before.
Yes.
Including Craig and Leah Seydoux.
Yeah.
Madeline. Like, they felt so thrown together in Spectre. Whereas in this, I actually believe that they were lovers.
Exactly.
Like,
and a lot of it has to do with the opening.
Yeah.
Because the opening, like, right away, this is picking up within, I'm going to say, 2 months or so. No more than 2 months after Spectre.
Mm-hmm.
So then, for them to go to Italy...
I thought it was years. Wasn't it years?
No. They do a flash forward 5 years.
Oh, they do the flash, after this part.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
So, and like, the whole purpose of them going to Italy was so that Madeline gives Bond the opportunity to say goodbye to Vesper, to let her go, right? And they have that, like, awesome sequence where, like, they're like, what are they doing? And they're like, they're writing down their regrets and then setting them on fire, so that they can start anew. And I was like, man, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. And it was awesome that she wasn't threatened by Vesper. No. She knew exactly what Vesper meant to him. But she knew that in order for them to go forward, he had to, like, whatever it was that was holding him back, he had to let that go. And when he wrote "Forgive Me," I was like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was going to say, you can go, or, like, I'm sorry, or something like that. Or, no, you're forgiven. I thought he was going to say, you're forgiven. But when he said "Forgive Me," I was like, whew, Jesus. And then, of course... explosion and whole awesome sequence in Italy, but it seemed like every one of these action beats were also hit with an emotional beat because he gets the call from Blofeld, ha, she's the daughter of Spectre, and I was like, that's such a sweet fucking line, though. Like, what a nickname that is, the daughter of Spectre. And Bond's not used to trusting anybody, especially women, and even Vesper. He loved Vesper, and she fucking turned on him. She had to, but she turned on him, so he's like, fuck, the same fucking thing. Like, the first time since Vesper that I'm like, yeah, come on into my heart.
Yeah.
She fucking rips it out again, and you feel it too, and I was like, oh man. I said to Michelle, I was like, it's so horrible that he can't see this as a setup. Because I thought it was a setup right away. Yeah. I was like, there's no way. But like, with those blue eyes, like when they're in the car, and they're opening fire, and she's like, James! And he's just like...
And he's just there, and he just looks at her, and just...
Okay. And then just fucking... And so here's the thing. So we've got the machine gun in the car.
Yeah.
Which is absurd.
Mm-hmm.
But in this movie, I was like, oh, yes! It was awesome. And they didn't play it for laughs. They didn't play it goofy. It was just, this is it. Yeah. Boom, gone. And I was like, holy fuck. And then, so they split up. And then it goes 5 years in the future. And I thought that was genius because it's been 5 years since Spectre. Well, 6 now.
And that opening credits by Billie Eilish.
Oh, yeah.
Great song.
Really good. Really
great
good.
Song.
Not as good as Skyfall.
No, Skyfall is hands down the best one. But like,
so good.
Even that was like really somber, right? Like,
yes.
You're like, this is going to be, like, that alone coming off of the opening was like, this is going to be a really emotional film.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, so,
and I was not expecting those emotions in this. Like,
no.
I knew it'd be like, okay, well, it's sad to see him go, but character-wise, I was not expecting him to go through what he went through.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
not at all. And like, and literally, like, die a hero.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. It was crazy. Like, but then we go right to Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's fucking fishing and
drinking.
But also showing off his body.
Mm-hmm.
There was a borderline nude scene. And he was in short shorts. Even Michelle was just like, when they were, when he was with Leah and they had the short scene, she's like, I wish he would have been in shorts or something like that. And then later in Jamaica, she saw it and she's like, it's not quite the same as the light blue ones, but it's close. And I was like, wow, fuck, okay. All right. But anyway, but yeah, so you see him and he's just fucking like, I don't know if you want to call it living. He's just existing, really, you know. But I was like, yeah, I'm genius that they fast forward 5 years. I was like, oh yeah, right. You know,
it was so great, and he's so off the grid that like no one can find him. They all thought he was dead.
No one could find him.
Wow.
Felix found him. What I think is that they just stopped looking.
Yeah.
You know, they stopped
made the
looking.
Excuse.
They stopped looking. They didn't. They just said, "Well, we couldn't find you." And like, no, they stopped looking because, as far as they were concerned, he was gone, right?
Yeah.
And when we find out later that Madeline was working with them, well, so they knew that they split up, and he didn't come back. So they were like, "Well, we'll just leave him."
Yep.
Because like you can't make him come back if he doesn't want to come. If he wanted to come back, he would have, like he did in Skyfall.
Yep. 100%.
So yeah, so
Jamaica
was awesome.
Jamaica was awesome.
Even the introduction of Nomi was awesome.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
that was great.
I actually was like, is that her?
Yeah.
She was like, you're an idiot. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, I'm an idiot. But like, that whole thing was great where like, you know, she fucks his ride up so she has to give him a ride home. And then she takes off her wig and he's like, that's not what I thought you'd be taking off. I was like, this is fucking funny. Like, they had some like dirty one-liners for classic Bond movies, but in this, it didn't feel out of place because he wasn't leaning into pervy douchebag. It was just like, just being confident in that scenario, which is, you know, one of those classic Bond traits that you have to have, the suaveness, right?
The suaveness.
But even like that...
That's probably one of my favorite things in the whole movie, actually, is like Spectre tried it to combine that like new age Craig Bond with the traditional style.
Yeah.
And it failed. The traditional overtook in Spectre and it was not good.
And it's also, and that's another reason why I feel like there was problems on set and why Daniel Craig was just like, I wanted to slash my fucking wrists, was because he was butting heads with the executives that were like, we wanted to go back to this, and he's like, but we can't do that because it doesn't make any sense and it doesn't work. And then finally he was just like, fuck it.
To jump ahead like that makes no sense.
It's my last movie anyway, so let's do it, fuck it. And then of course the way it ended and how it didn't perform, they were like, you want to take one more crack at it and we'll shut our fucking mouths? And that's what I think is.
And that's
exactly what happened.
It works here. Like that little bit of traditionalism in this is just perfect.
Because it's not like Craig's Bond has ever said we're never going to do traditional Bond, you know. And I know like a lot of people were like, well, yeah, but Casino Royale. Well, they had to do Casino Royale. They had to start from scratch.
Yeah.
So we saw something we'd never seen before. A young Bond, just literally fresh in the 007. You know, and then of course Quantum of Solace happened, and then Skyfall, like I said in our previous Camcast, took old Bond with Craig's Bond, fused it together, and this is like the first time we saw Craig be like comfortable. Like he's like, no, I'm James Bond.
Yes.
This is my James Bond, and this is how I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
And we saw it again in No Time to Die, and it's awesome.
You could tell he was having a better time on this.
100%.
Because like Spectre, everything was just it was so wrong in Spectre,
and it's so painful.
And I'm gonna watch that documentary still.
I know. I'm gonna watch it too.
Since it's like James watched it, and he said it touches on Quantum and Spectre, and like they go right into everything that went wrong with those. And I gotta watch this.
I can't wait. I want to watch it. I didn't want to be tainted before we did this.
Yes.
But yeah, so Jamaica, the Spectre party was an awesome sequence.
Spectre party. Yeah, that's great.
The Spectre party, like the birthday for Blofeld.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious that they're doing that. And I was like, this is insane. Like, they literally had a scene where like the Blofeld is like hidden away, and he's like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm fucking crazy. And then they're fucking throwing him a party, and you're like, oh, that's so funny. And like, this is Leader just saying, hey, look, we need this scientist guy. And this is after 007's like, stay out of it, Bond, or I'll fucking shoot you in the goddamn good knee that you have left, right? And then like, that whole sequence where we introduce Paloma, so great. Like, I mean, I don't want to go like scene for scene, shot for shot, but it's hard because everything is so good in this fucking movie.
She is easily one of the biggest pluses of this movie. So, like, yes, I wanted more of her, but I mean, she served her time in the movie, right? That was hers. But I still want to see more of her.
I know, and even I was thinking, like, yeah, she should have showed up at the end, but then I was like, yeah, but she would have stuck out at the end. Yeah. And the end is like an emotional heart. Yes. Like, even Nomi was a large part of the ending, but even at some point, she stepped back because she had to make sure that Madeline and Matilda were okay. Yeah. Which was awesome. The scene where he gives her his sweater, I was like, oh my god.
So cute. She was so adorable. And
I was like, oh.
It was a hell of a time trying to find a little girl with like Craig's blue eyes. Because Craig has the bluest fucking eyes I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I forgot that was another one of the complaints for Bond when he was
the blue eyes.
Was the blue eyes.
Yeah.
And they were just like, it's dark brown, you fucking heathen. Okay. Yeah. All right. But then again, I mean, I complain when they make established characters gay, so I mean, really.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I mean, the MI6 sequences were awesome.
Yep.
The Norway, I didn't even know they were shooting in Norway. Like the Madeline's home was in Norway. I had no idea, and I was like, man, that's awesome.
Beautiful country. I want to go to Scandinavia in the worst way. Worst way.
Like, as a guy who loves winter, I'm like, yeah, Norway is definitely one of those places I would love to go. And then finally the island. All the sequences, there's not one bad sequence. There's not one sequence where I'm like, you gotta take that out. You know, in a 3-hour movie, there's not an entire sequence in the whole movie.
That's what I'm saying, like,
take it out. Remove it.
Like, you could say that a con is how long it is, but you don't feel it at all.
I didn't feel it at all.
If pacing is great, then the time is great.
And we said that before.
And we're going to talk about this with Venom later, too. It's like, everyone was like, 90 minutes only? What the fuck? Like, that should be 2 hours. After watching it, I was like, no, that was perfect.
Yeah, if it would have been any longer,
so paced.
I probably would have had more complaints.
It would have had dead spots in it, right?
Because I got complaints.
You got complaints?
Oh, I got complaints.
But I mean, it was a perfect runtime.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I even point to, I point to Dark Knight as being, like, one of the first movies that was over that 2-hour mark.
Yeah.
And I've never once been like, oh my god, this is like a fucking long movie. Endgame, 3 hours. I never once was like, when is this fucking movie ending, right? Yeah. So, and a large part of the reason why this is so good is because of the cast. And we touched upon it at the beginning. The cast is so good together that I actually, like, I noticed that this is probably one of the smaller roles that Tanner has had in this movie since Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, it was a very small role because he wasn't really in the field at all in this.
No.
Like he was really in the field inspector.
Really, and it was awesome to see that. But everyone is so good together, so comfortable with each other that there's like a playfulness to it now.
Yeah,
like even
plus you think like it's 5 years later, right? So like Tanner would be like not in the field as much.
Right, exactly. Although I read an article where they were lamenting how we never got to get, like in Craig's run, we never got to get a fully formed Bond, right? And I was like, no, that's not true, because you had a fully formed Bond the second that Bond shaved his beard off in Skyfall. From that point on, he was fully formed. Like all of Spectre, he was fully formed.
Oh yeah.
Right? Maybe not the way you would have liked, but like I didn't necessarily like it, but he was fully formed. But what I really liked about this movie was that even though there was that 5-year jump, there was no like, I got to get back in the swing of things. It was instant. Leader was like, let's do it. And he goes, okay, fine, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
And not one beat is missed. He doesn't miss a gunshot. I mean, he's jumping over the bar. Yeah. They're having a shot in between waves of bad guys, which was awesome.
I love that. I love that so much.
So great. Two drinks, shoot it, boom, boom, and then they're right back into it. I was like, that is awesome. So, and I love that he never missed a beat, because I think deep down he knew he was going to go back. He just didn't know when.
Yeah.
So, and I thought that was refreshing too, that we didn't get a rehash of that, like getting back into the swing of things thing. And in fact, there was no doubts at all. And nobody doubted it. No one was like, really? We want to keep this guy? He's been gone for 5 years. I mean, we don't want to talk about Bond's age in a movie, but he might be closer to 50 this time, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, he probably would be.
But anyway, so I'm like, I thought it was awesome. And like I said, the cast helped out immensely with that. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
And, I mean, they outed Q, and it was awesome.
But it was done so perfectly,
right?
It
was so perfectly.
It was just like,
my
date's coming. He's going to be here soon.
And that was it. 20 minutes.
And that was it. Like, he's going to be here in 20 minutes. And that was it.
And I loved it. I thought it was great, especially because, I know online, there's a lot of shippers for Craig's Bond and Q.
Oh, well, of course there is. But, I mean, like, it was so quick that, like, my dad never even caught it.
I caught it right away. I was just like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he said he.
At first, I thought that Eve and Q were actually together.
Yeah.
And then when he's like, oh, my date's coming, I was like, oh, he'll be here in 20 minutes. I was like, oh, all right. My man. My man's getting some. Good for you. But, so yeah, and I liked how they had like quick little beats, with that kind of stuff too. But,
yes. Wraps up every loose thread from Craig's tenure.
Yeah, every single. Well,
I couldn't even think of anything that would have been missed.
Well, and I said when we were talking about Skyfall, I said like that was the perfect ending because they put all the toys back, right?
Yes.
They had the male M, they had Moneypenny, they had Q, all of that was there. But this is actually a better way to go because it's a scorched earth. They've wiped out Spectre. They've wiped out Blofeld. They've wiped out Bond. Okay, and that actually remind me because I've got a couple of thoughts on how the franchise can move forward after this. Even though in my gut, I feel like it's a clean cut reboot.
I mean, you'd think it would have to be, right? Like, I watched it after the credits, and even at the very end of the credits,
of course.
James Bond will return. That's what I said to my dad. It's like, oh, is he really dead? I was like, well, wait till the end.
But I got a couple of thoughts on how they proceed, and I don't think they will go this route. Like I said, I think it's a clear-cut reboot, but, I mean, whatever. This is the only time I've watched a Bond run where I was like, but this is a full story. And even, like, I saw an interview with Craig where he said, like, we weren't necessarily trying to do that, but we kept coming back to these threads.
Yeah. So
then we were like, well, why don't we? And so they told a complete story of Bond's career from beginning to end, and it was incredible. And it wouldn't have been as good if it didn't have the emotional resonance.
I agree. I think I pretty much touched on everything. The gadgets in this were awesome.
The gadgets in this were awesome, but they weren't
they weren't over the top crazy.
Outlandish.
Like, okay, like Q making a fucking car with guns in the front, like that's nothing.
But they did that. Like I said, they treated that with reverence. They didn't treat it like it was a joke.
No.
But then, like even when when they were fucking taking the scientist out, and they dropped all the bomb, and it blew out all these little things. You're like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
And then they jumped down, and you're like, oh, magnets. That's awesome.
That was awesome.
That's so cool.
That magnet thing
and you
was
could
so
see that
cool.
happening right now.
Yeah.
Like, you could see that happening right fucking now.
So cool.
The drone, when they were flying in that drone type thing, I was like, it was so
the watch.
cool. The watch, I thought was
Kill Cyclops with a watch.
The watch one kind of bugged me, but I read somewhere that it was like it's a proximity thing. So I was like, if it's an EMP, it wipes out everything in the vicinity, even if it's close range. So it's like, so he touches the guy's face, fucks his eye up, but wouldn't his comm be out? But it was because it was touching the guy.
Yeah.
It had to be touching something. So I was like, okay, all right.
And then you got that perfect friggin' like little Bond quip. What was that? Oh, I showed down my watch. It blew his mind.
It was so good. I also liked how he called him Cyclops, and I was like, "That's fucking Cyclops." And then, like, I said in my head, Cyclops.
Yeah.
And then he said Cyclops, and I'm like, "Oh shit, we're on the same page here." But yeah, like.
Let's talk about Jeffrey Wright for a second.
Hold on a second. I just want to say.
Yeah.
Actually, no. You know, let's do Jeffrey Wright.
Let's do Jeffrey Wright because we've talked about Jeffrey Wright. You know, I've had my conversations about Jeffrey.
We're all.
I love
fans.
Jeffrey Wright.
We're all huge fans of Jeffrey Wright.
I felt like Felix wasn't used the way he should have been used, but in this you get to see him on a mission with Bond.
I thought you were gonna gripe about.
This was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so good to see them side by side.
It was really awesome. But
it's
disappointing.
And then you get that heartbreaking, like,
he had to fucking die.
He dies, yeah. And then that leads into the friggin' Logan Ash. Like, what a slimeball that guy was. So
But I love how Bond called it right away. He's like, what the fuck's wrong with your dude? He keeps smiling. Like, he smiles way too much.
Yeah. Something wrong with that guy. But then he kills him with the car.
Oh.
Just lets the car go. I was like...
Pulls it down. He didn't just let it go. He pulled it down.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's awesome. That's fucking awesome. Well, even like
and
that
he said
close
that too.
quarter fight scene.
Didn't he say that to Bond though? Ash didn't call Bond brother, and he said, I had a brother, you killed him or something?
Something like that.
And then brings his car down?
Yeah.
Mm.
And, but like even like in the fight scene in the boat, I thought was really cool too. I was like, fuck, like all close quarter.
Yep.
You know, and he's dealing with a younger agent who, like, kind of got the better of him type of thing. Got away with the scientist. You're like, you son of a bitch. The scientist was fucking hilarious.
Oh, he was funny.
So fucking. Like, I loved how he gave no fucks.
Yeah.
Like, gun in his face. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, the virus has already been created. Like,
yeah.
I mean, sure, kill me, but what the fuck's the point?
I love that guy. He was funny.
So fucking
super
good.
funny.
Good. But yeah, so fucking later dying though actually bugged me. I did not want to see him die, but I mean, what are you gonna do, right? Scorched earth. Scorched earth.
Everything wiped out, including Blofeld.
Everything must go.
And that scene with Blofeld was better than the entirety of Spectre.
When he pulled up the cuckoo line,
yeah.
I was like, nice.
And there was something like...
I fucking hated it in the first
And there was something really haunting about him in this, too. Like, the way they brought him out and everything. You're just like, oh, fuck.
I
never felt intimidated by him at all in Spectre.
No. That's why I was saying, like, when they introduced him in that big, huge meeting in Spectre, and it was all, like, silhouette and stuff, I was like, if we had more of that...
Yes.
Because that guy, you were like, holy fuck, he's calling the shots. Like, and everyone's, like, shitting their pants. Like, they don't want to piss him off at all. Right, and then you know, of course, like Jeffrey Wright is, or not Jeffrey Wright, Mr. White is like, everything was fine until this guy showed up and wanted to fucking kill children. Yeah, like this guy's a lunatic, you know. And then you know we get that like cuckoo scene, and you're like, oh, or even when he did like, I'm the author of all your pain, James, and you're like, that's a fucking great line, but what? And also, like, the heavy-handed way that they were sandwiching in the other movies.
Yes.
Like, it was pretty sandwiched in, where at least this here, it felt, like I said, it made it feel more earned this time around. Yeah. And that was one of my complaints I had with Spectre that I didn't say, was that, like, they go to all these different places, and it felt like they were going there just because. You know, like, yeah, I know the story says we go here, and then we go here, we go here, but it just felt like they went, well, let's go to the Alps, and let's go to this place, and let's go to the desert, and let's just, you know, because Sam Mendes and his cinematography team are incredible, right? And Skyfall looked gorgeous in every scene.
Yep.
You know, whereas this one, every single place that they went to felt earned. Like it felt like, yes, we should be going here. This makes perfect sense to be here. So that's one of them. Cinematography.
Cinematography was gorgeous in this.
Yeah.
Like Bond's always great for scenery and everything. Like the
Yeah.
places they pick to shoot are always great looking.
Yeah, exactly.
But certain cameramen can shoot it a lot better than others.
That's right. Yeah.
This was amazing.
Like
And
there's
never
shooting and then there's artistry.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I've never seen True Detective, so I wasn't sure how Carey
neither.
was going to direct this.
I've never seen it either.
And still kind of blew away. Like you said, it's not really a big idea or a big deal, but I was surprised it went with an American director. I honestly was, because originally it was Danny Boyle keeping up with the British tradition.
And you're right. Like the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, you're right. It is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's almost as insane as casting an American to play Bond with a British accent.
Yeah.
Which they might.
They might. Unless they get Christopher Nolan to actually reboot it. Because if he can just do his own thing, he'll do it.
I would. I that's my first thought is
Yeah.
get him. Even if it's
Yeah.
just one movie.
Just
get
one
him.
movie. Yeah.
Just get him, do it, and hopefully, like, I mean, fuck, I wouldn't mind seeing a couple of movies with his version of Bond.
A 90-year-old Bond played by Michael Caine?
No. No.
Michael Caine is going to be Bond.
Unless it's like, it starts with him as a 90-year-old Bond, and it's reliving his, like, last great moment.
I remember this time I got blown up on an island.
Yeah, like, so, like, they start the 3-movie trilogy or however movie, but they start it, and it's him, and he's reliving, like, in each movie is one of his specific, whatever.
Well, I mean, Tom Hardy's a frontrunner, so Tom Hardy and Christopher Nolan are a great team.
Yeah, they are, but I think Tom Hardy is too old now to start Bond. Yeah.
Well, the problem is they took a lot of time with Bond with this series.
But like part of it is
you look at Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan's movies were every 2 to 3.
Well, and the broccolis had said too that they want to get back into that every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, COVID
bumped it back quite a bit. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Part of the reason for this, but it's also. Spectre fucked things pretty hard.
Spectre fucked it hard. Like this, they're disappointed with how much this opened to, right?
Well, yeah.
It was like 56 million or something.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, oh, it's a pandemic. Well, okay, Venom 2 just made 90 million opening weekend, so that's not really the pandemic. It's the fact that Spectre was a piece of shit.
It's partly that, but it's mostly the fact that Bond does skew older.
Yes.
That's part of that's a huge part of it.
Right.
And older people aren't all going in droves to theaters now.
Yeah.
You know, and that is partly down, largely due to the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Largely due to that. Because Spectre made almost $1 billion, and Spectre was not good.
No. Not
good at all.
Like, I feel like this would have been another $1 billion movie if it would have opened in normal times.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
exactly. Because you also look at it too, Venom 2's dropped off, like, huge drop off week by week.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Because everyone is not going to the theater still.
That's
everyone that wanted to watch it watched it that weekend.
That's right. And then that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So, yeah, great. It had a great opening and good for them.
Yep.
But, like, we'll talk more about Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah, we'll touch on Venom.
Yeah, so
So
it's disappointing. This is another disappointing part though, is that because like they have that $900 million price tag that they have to hit before they can make money. So it's disappointing that one of his best movies and the best movie to end on is gonna bomb. Like, is gonna lose money, I should
unless
say.
word of mouth really spreads and it holds that 40 to 50 for the first few weekends.
But then again, there's also the Chinese release that's coming up.
Chinese release will be huge. It makes tons of money in China.
It's ridiculous.
And did it open everywhere else worldwide at the same time? Or was it just North America?
Believe, no, Britain, Europe opened first.
Okay. So
and then we got it.
And then we got it. Okay.
And then I think it's the 22nd or the 29th or something like that. It's towards the end of this month that it opens up in China. And it'll recoup a lot of the money. I think it'll do really, really well.
It'll do well. I hope it makes the money. But...
I hope so too.
So you never felt at all during this, like near the end, that Bond was dying?
No, in fact...
And Michelle did, though.
Michelle, she called two things that I was like, I dismissed immediately. She's like when Madeline says, it's not yours. She's not yours.
Mm-hmm.
And Michelle leaned in and she goes, I bet you it's a Dwight and Angela thing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no. Because I'm looking ahead to the future.
You're thinking the next Bond's going to continue off of this one.
No. Not necessarily. What I'm thinking is, I'm thinking Bond ends with, like, Daniel Craig's Bond ends with him saving the day, like always.
Yeah.
But not going back to them for some reason. So, her not being his child, because if it's his child, and at the beginning, like halfway through that movie, like when he goes to Norway and he says, like, my only regret is that I pushed you onto that bus.
Yeah.
Which was heartbreaking. But I was like, man, that's so awesome that he's just like Bond is literally like laid bare. He's just like, yeah, I fucked up. But I wanted that life with you. I wanted you to know that I wanted that life with you. And so he would have had that life. So even if he didn't die, he wouldn't have been James Bond.
Right.
So they would have had to reboot anyway, or rewrite that anyway. So they would have to start the next movie with Madeline and the kid getting killed. You know?
Or something.
Something along those lines. So like I said, so I was like, nah, there's no way. But then so later, when they confirm it, and I was getting to that point where I'm like, it's his kid.
Yeah.
But I was doing the same thing when, you know, he's like, they're talking about the virus, and like I was like, oh my god, he can't go near them. And I was like, okay, all right, but he gets off the island, that's fine, he just stays away from them. But then it starts to set in. You're like, but that's not how that works. He can't guarantee that he won't touch somebody that won't have contact with somebody at some point down the road that has contact with her.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it, right? So it's like, holy fuck, he had to die. They absolutely had to kill him to end this run.
I got the feeling in a few spots when Naomi was talking to him on the plane and said he was 007. I was like, oh, that's nice that she's showing the respect and everything. But I was like, I got that feeling, is he going to go down as 007? Like,
but that's over. The thing. So those feelings happened.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but I would shoo them away because I was looking at it
it's
like
James Bond.
It's James Bond, right?
James Bond doesn't die.
You know?
Right?
I mean, they ended, what the fuck was Lazenby's movie? Of Her Royal Majesty.
On Her Royal Majesty, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, OH.
Yeah.
XS or whatever. But, like, it ends with him getting married. Or the one before that ends with him getting married. I think that one ends with him getting married, and then, like, the first movie with, Moore, or no, Sean Connery's back. All of a sudden, like, she's dead or whatever. So they just immediately went, yeah, no, it's happy ending. Nah, not for this series, though. So that's what I was thinking. Like, even if it ends with it being his daughter, then they would have to kill her off. So I was like, there's no way. So it's not her daughter, or it's not his daughter, sorry, and he's not going to die because that's not how you end a Bond movie. Yeah. So, like I said, I literally had to sit for like an hour while I got home. I started sipping a drink going like, I can't fucking believe they killed him off. I can't fucking believe it. And I'm glad that they did. Like, honestly, it's weird to say, but if they would have ended it any other way, I would be like, that's cool. But they really built it up, like.
Well, it's kind of cool, right? Because it's its own little series. It's got bookends. I mean, you can literally watch Pierce Brosnan, skip down Craig, go to the next guy now, and not miss a beat.
Exactly. And what got me was when he's like climbing up the ladder for the second time.
Yes.
And he says to Q, he's just like, but we can stop this, right? And Q is just like, Bond, you know we can't. And he's just like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And now they all know that's it. I was like, fuck.
I got the definitive feeling that he was dying when they were down at the boat area and he put Madeline on and his kid, and then Naomi went on and he said he's going to stay behind. And I was like, okay, you stand behind, you still gonna sit there, right?
Yeah.
But the way they shot that, they slowed down the camera work, and it showed Madeline like go into the light and just like fade to white. I was like, he's dying. He is dying.
Yeah, and like I said, when Michelle called it, she's like, I think he's gonna die. I was like, nah.
Yeah.
He gets out of it. I literally said he gets out of it after we watched him get blown to bits. Okay. Like, it wasn't an off-screen death.
Yeah, no, it was
he got blown to bits, and I was like, nah, he'll get out of it. It's fucking James Bond.
He's good.
It's fucking James. He might have a limp.
Yeah.
But he'll be okay. You'll check him out later at the end credit scene. He'll be sipping a cocktail at the bar. But I was like, fuck. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't fucking believe it. So, yeah, I don't really want to go too much longer. I don't have anything else to
touched
say,
on everything
really.
now.
Here's my thoughts on... So the way this is ended, they actually, especially like with Apple buying up the property.
Yes.
Which I'm glad that they've said specifically, James Bond will still be released in theaters. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't mean that they'll no longer release movies, like physical copies, because I absolutely have to own a physical copy of this movie. But anyway, so I find it interesting because they are in this weirdly cool position where they could have their cake and eat it too. Because now what they can do is they can, first of all, they're going to reboot Bond. There's no way that they're not going to reboot Bond. And I don't think they're going to pull a Dame Judi Dench and keep some of the characters to carry over.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's clean slate for all of them.
Full reboot.
Okay? And they're not going to... I don't think that they're going to do like a Casino Royale reboot, but I think they're going to carry on like you said, like Brosnan run ended, this guy showed up, and then they pick it up from there. Keep
going.
Yeah, so just serialized adventures of the agent James Bond.
Yeah.
And fine, like, I mean, the way it's ended, you have to reboot it. You have to.
Yeah.
Like, you have to clean slate everything, which is fine. I mean, like, they wiped out Spectre, they killed off Bond, they killed off pretty much anybody that they need, everyone they needed to. But regardless, but the cool part is, and this is where I don't think they're going to go with, but I kind of hope they do, is that they could continue on this timeline, so to speak, with Nomi as 007. With, like, they could at least have one more movie just to kind of see how that goes with these characters still working in the shadow of James Bond.
Yeah.
So now you've got your black woman James, or 007.
You could easily do that in between.
You've got your black woman 007 heading up MI6 as one of their top agents, although, is he the top agent? Like, is there, like, does it go up?
I don't know how it goes, because they've had a 008, they've had 006.
Right.
Like, is it just a number you get?
It's all the 00s equal? Right? Yeah, like, that's, I guess...
It's not like, you did really good this month, you're 005. Yes!
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but now, and so they have their reboot Bond.
Yeah.
Which I guarantee you is going to be a little bit more of the classic Bond.
Mm-hmm.
I am almost certain it's going to be a little bit more classic Bond than Skyfall or No Time to Die.
They're going to have to, because it's going to have to stand apart from this.
But that's the thing. I don't think they're going to go this route, but I think they should. They should sit there and say, well, why don't we have a movie with...
I think they should just take their time finding another Bond, and I honestly think they should do a spin-off film.
They won't, though. Well, that's what I mean.
They won't, but
they
should have... Hell, I mean, okay, I'm going to talk video games for a second. Uncharted 4, right?
Yeah.
Nathan Drake.
Yep.
Final Adventure.
Yep.
They still did The Last Legacy after that.
Yep.
And they had Chloe and that other chick.
Yeah.
Nadine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why can't you do Nomi and Paloma?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like
you have could do a spin-off in the universe.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and that's my whole thing. You could do that, and why not?
It's not going to take away from anything.
And if it does great, then you can continue on with Nomi until they decide to recast her.
Mm-hmm.
And you've now continued on with this black woman 007.
Yep.
Or, after Nomi's run is done, maybe she dies, and then you cast Idris Elba. All that'll never happen. But, like, now you have the 007 moniker, and it's not tied to James Bond in this timeline.
Right.
Is kind of the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
So now you can do whatever you want.
Or would they retire the number with his death?
I mean,
They could.
They could.
But I mean,
but now and then, like you said, so you've got traditional Bond.
Yeah.
Which will be super traditional, borderline raping traditional.
Not in this day and age.
No. But there's already like articles where they're saying like, well, the next James Bond better not be a woke Bond, and you're like, because of the stuff that James Bond, Daniel Craig's Bond has done, because like, I mean, yeah, there's still women being treated like fucking throwaway shit in every one of these movies, or not in every one, basically just in
the first ones.
No, the first three. Skyfall, Severine, she was throwaway.
Yeah, Skyfall too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but after that it was...
No, because then he met Madeline and that was it.
But yeah, so like they'll have their more traditional Bond. And it's just, if they don't do something with Nomi, I think it's a hugely missed opportunity. And you're right, like have Nomi and Paloma.
Why can't you?
Like...
You can't even call like fucking what they do with that Hobbs and Shaw. Like when Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, like fucking
007 presents.
Yeah, simple.
Nomi and Paloma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although Hobbs and Shaw,
Bond,
I don't think did that well.
It did good. Oh no, it did like 750 mil.
Oh, but I mean like in terms of the Fast franchise.
No, yeah, it didn't touch a bill like the last few.
Because I remember I saw that and I was like, you know what, that looks a lot better than I thought it would be.
It's fucking funny, but even though Alba's like a superhero in it.
Yeah, I know. That was the part where I was like,
why is this guy got superpowers?
I don't know how I feel about that part, but I mean, it also looked to me like one of those movies. It's like a Fast and Furious movie. It's like, turn your brain off.
Yeah.
And then you'll love it.
Exactly.
You'll think it's
Just
amazing.
have a good time.
You know, don't think too much into it, right? But then when I seen it didn't do like $1 billion, I was like, well, that's why we're not getting a sequel.
Oh, they've greenlit a sequel.
Really?
Oh yeah, a sequel's happening.
Wow.
Dwayne Johnson's got like 400 movies in front of him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. How did the Fast movie do without Dwayne Johnson?
It still did a bill. I mean, those movies clean up in China.
They do.
They do. Or no, it didn't do a bill, but then it also opened during COVID.
That's right. I was just going to say
that's that again too, right?
Because it opened in that sweet spot where everyone was like, "We could go back to the theaters," and then like 3 weeks later, they're like, "Fuck, we still have COVID? What? This is unbelievable." Anyway, so yeah, it doesn't top my list, but fuck, it was so close.
It's a great way to end.
Oh,
I was worried if
if
this is another Spectre, then
I know.
Then I'm just gonna watch the first 3 and call it a day.
Exactly. Now I my repeat watches will be more the Casino Royale, Skyfall, and No Time to Die. Those will be the repeats.
I don't think I'll really.
When I go through a full run, I think I will have a little bit more of a better appreciation of Spectre. Like that, because that's one of the things that's the most amazing about this movie is that it actually makes me go, okay, all right, I can, and who knows where my rankings will be after that rewatch. But as it stands, one of the best Bond movies I've ever seen, with the best Bond ever.
Yep.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down. Call him woke if you want, but I'm totally fine.
But he's not woke.
I'm totally fine with
because he has a
Bond.
Gay Q in his universe.
It's because he cared and he cried.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, is that now considered woke too? You can't show emotion?
Well, men have never been allowed to show emotions.
Good
ever.
Fucking Lord.
Ever. Even though I've showed
well, then
emotions.
you'd all hate me because I cry like a bitch 24/7.
You've seen me get choked up on this fucking thing all the time.
I mean, I unboxed a Stan Lee toy on here and I was fucking tearing up.
Why wouldn't you? By the way, if you haven't seen that, watch it. This guy is insane when he unboxes stuff.
Yeah. Once a year.
I gotta tell you, I'm disappointed that you didn't have like your super mega like flip out unboxing knife like every other unboxer has. Their product placement knife. I was really disappointed that you weren't just
pull
like,
a fucking sword out. All right.
Switch-O-Matic 6000. You know, perfect for, like this combat knife that people use for box openings. I was like, this is fucking insane. So I'm disappointed that you didn't have that.
Okay, so I'll do that next time.
Even if it's
big
fake,
ass knife.
Even if it's fake, it's like a totally like bullshit thing. I would rather you have it thrown out. But yeah, if you haven't seen that, watch that. You know.
Yeah, and then check our other 2 camcasts on James Bond. We did 2 a few weeks back.
And then of course watch this again.
Yep. Yeah, watch this one again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
this is crazy though. We're in the same room.
It is fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy that we're finally back in this room.
Yeah.
And even though it looks a little bit different, still feels like home. Again, as always, thank you so much for just sitting watching these movies and then watching us talk about the same movies and laughing along because I know you do, crying at some point because I know you do.
Don't be woke.
But we really appreciate the support, the likes, everything. The love, the subscriptions. It is so pandering.
The bell clicking.
So yeah, the bell.
Honestly, don't even like the video. Just comment down below about how much you hate Chris.
Yeah,
so I hate. He can go to war with you.
I watch YouTube guys all the time. They do this pandering thing, and I feel ridiculous. But we do really appreciate it. We thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one. And doot doot loot doot.
Boopity boop.
You did it wrong on purpose, you asshole.
Well, you didn't do the social media stuff, so I was thrown off.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right.
Fair. Okay, so we're still gonna go, but before we do, Kenneth is going to talk about the social media aspect.
So we can be social with each other. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts if you want to listen to this episode as a podcast, or, right here on YouTube where you can see our handsome faces together in the same room, not pixelated through Zoom. Very nice.
And like weird angles.
And geekpantsmedia.com, which has not really been updated too much lately, but it will be soon. As a promise from me and him.
It is a promise from me too, because I have to do something. Yeah. And who knows? You might hear some wrestling stuff on Soundcast. Who knows?
Yeah.
So on that note, doot doodaloot doot.
But I'm dumb.
You did it again, you fucking son of a bitch. Actually, that's not nice because your mom is not a bitch at all.
Yeah,
You're
right?
just a fucking asshole.